Good morning, it's Wednesday morning, and in less than 48 hours, House subcommittees will have finalized your third stimulus package and ready to call it for a vote across the entire House of Representatives. Nancy Pelosi confirms that the third stimulus package bill is in the House of Representatives, it's in the subcommittees, and their approval of the bill, its provisions, its amounts, will be finalized by Friday. The entire bill will be called for a vote next week, and the House of Representatives will pass Joe Biden's $1.9 trillion stimulus bill by the middle to end of next week. That means the House will get it, and the President could sign it into law by as early as next weekend. The incredible progress is upon us after the purple push's push, and boy, it was a push in the last 48 hours. In this recording, I go over the incredible turnaround of events and how there still is progress and still things that we gotta fix across the board. This is Mornings LALATE. Good morning, everybody, and mornings are upon us. Live from Los Angeles, this is LALATE Mornings. The toast is toasting, the butter is buttering. I'm here, you're here, and this is your latest update on stimulus, as the third stimulus package is working its ways through the acts of Congress. Today, it's in the House, and next week, it could be in the Senate, and thereafter, it could be on the President's table, ready to sign into law by the end of the week, and shortly thereafter, it could be in your hands. In this recording, I go over the latest developments and the 19 to 22 items in the third stimulus package you need to be aware of, and you need to be ready to get that money, because it's first come, first serve for many of the items. This is Mornings LALATE. If you've not subscribed, please subscribe. There's a link on the front of this channel to subscribe and become a member. Become a member because it's the fastest growing community there is, with the most in-depth reporting on the subject. Also, like this video. Hit that alert button so you can alert when I next have a recording, which will be at 12 noon on Home LALATE, your midday update on stimulus and everything else happening across this country. Meantime, also consider becoming a member. The member link is in the pinned comment to this video in the description, and also here at the top of the video. Become a Purple Hawk, Purple Power, Calcino VIP. So what's going on for this morning? This morning, House members are working on the subsections of the bill that concern their subcommittees, and they are set to get those finalized in no less than 48 hours. How did we get to here when less than 2 days ago we were told this is several weeks away? I have the latest details for you. It's all great news, and with that, let's get to the breaking news. The breaking news is that Joe Biden had given a promise to have his stimulus package on his table day one. That wasn't happening. Less than 48 hours ago, he addressed the American people and said that he expects to see progress in the next few weeks. His press secretary said she had hoped as well that there would be progress on the situation in a few weeks. Those words, a few weeks, continue to be repeated and cause anxiety and tension among viewers of this channel, who I affectionately call Purple Power. I asked you to step up and make your message loud and clear. We can't wait several weeks. This needs to be done right away. And suddenly, the tides turned. The tides turned because of a series of forces. One, you. Two, Ro Khanna and other progressives also in the House said this needs to be done next week, not weeks from now. And finally, Nancy Pelosi actually fast-tracked this. She said, I am taking the bill and I'm fast-tracking it. I'm not waiting around. What had been the wait game? Well, there were 3 items that were at issue for waiting. 1, trying to do bipartisan agreements by Zoom chat. On Sunday and thereafter, Joe Biden was having 16 to 20 person Zoom chats with congressional leaders to get them to agree to items. But those congressional leaders were dragging their feet, being unconclusive and unresolved about certain issues. The next issue was continuing concern about maybe doing this by another method called a reconciliation. That would not help the viewers of this channel because it would only allow by law about 1 to 2 items of a 22 to 32 item stimulus package into the bill. It would be too small, too little, and too late. Hence, Nancy Pelosi took this by the reins. She fast-tracked it, meaning the bill is going to whip through the House of Representatives very fast. How fast? Let's go over the details. The details as we sit here on a Wednesday morning, and it's cold outside here in Los Angeles, is the following. Nancy Pelosi has put the bill to her subcommittees in the House of Representatives. Those subcommittees are divided by subject. Those subjects are things like, for example, small business, housing, labor, and things like that. So the housing group would deal with issues of rental. The business group would deal with issues like business grants. Her order? Get it done within 48 hours by the end of Friday and give me your approval of the terms and the numbers by Friday. That is so that she could tee up step 2. And what is step 2? A call for a vote across the entire House of Representatives based upon the approval of her subcommittees. And that vote is next week. She confirms to news. So now we would have analysis, calculations, analytics, and diagnostics of both the words and the numbers in the bill to ensure that everything is correct, call it for a vote, and get the vote finalized in the House of Representatives, which, as you know, is Democratic-led. There is no dispute that the bill won't pass the House of Representatives. The Democrats retain control of the House after the fall 2020 election. So then what is next after that? Well, that's coming up later in this recording. But first, let me tell you what's also coming up in this recording. I'll be going over the deal provisions of the third stimulus package. Everything from SSI and SSDI to FPUC to rent, the stimulus check. Is there a change in the stimulus check at issue? And is there a possibility to suddenly switch the FPUC to a higher number and finally get it retro? And what about multiple stimulus checks? Is that still a possibility? That's coming up also later in this recording. Also coming up later in this recording, I'll be answering some of your 1,690 questions from yesterday's video. If you're listening so far and you have questions, drop them in the comments to this video, and I may answer them in tomorrow's recording as well. All right, let's get back to the news. The continuation of the story is the following. The House members will get the bill for a total vote next week. Well, then there remains a big issue. And the big issue, as you know I'm about to say, is what numbers and what amount and what deal provisions. This is why the call to action is now still upon us. Purple Power, as I referred to the followers of this channel, need to take this video and share it on social media and tag elected officials, especially those in the House that are working on the bill, and say what you think needs to get changed. If you're unsure about what needs to get changed, I'm going over the deal provisions in a second. But the big 3 social media campaigns of this channel for the last few days have been hashtag FPUC Retro, hashtag SS200, and hashtag MSC. I'll explain that shortly. Once the bill lands in the House for a general vote, it will pass, and that's next week. Then it's off to the Senate for step 2. The Senate will get the bill, and by all accounts, the Senate will pass the bill. Now, let me make something clear, because sometimes I don't repeat things enough, and I need to repeat it again. The Senate is controlled now by the Democrats. And while you may look at the number of seats and say, this plus this equals that, VP Harris breaks any tiebreaker vote because she is the president of the Senate by the Constitution. And so even if there's a deadlock, she breaks the vote and it passes the Senate. It then's on to the president's table. He signs it, and the relief could be on its way within about 10 days, calendar days thereafter. Incredible, great news. So suddenly the Purple Power has done it again. The followers of this channel have done it again, have taken the third stimulus package from something being worked on in a couple weeks from now to something being finalized in a couple days from now, as early as potentially the end of next week. So now let's turn to the deal items and what is right, what is wrong, what is missing, and what is included and what shouldn't be included. First, it's important to understand that the third stimulus package involves a mixture of items, but the vast majority of the items are segmented into subjects. And I've detailed for viewers that whether you are a low-income person, you qualify for probably about 5 of the items. If you're a business person, you probably qualify for an additional 2 items. And if you're a parent, you probably qualify for about 3 additional items as well. There's not one person I can identify on this channel that watches this channel that qualifies for only 1 item. Be aware then, there's several items that are all really, as I say, delicious that you can qualify for. So pull out a pen and paper because you need to know what you need to get. Ultimately, some of these items, very few of them, are automatic to land in your bank account. As I affectionately call you, the donut guy that doesn't do anything. But everyone else that's a purple hawk that is ready to pounce and get that moolah as soon as it goes live, there's a lot of moolah, but it's first come, first served to get the moolah. So as soon as it goes live and becomes a law, you need to be ready to get it on first in queue. All right, let's go over the items. First, the stimulus check amount. The proposal currently is $1,400 for a single individual, double that for a married couple, and $1,400 for children, $2,300, and then for adult dependents, $3,200. What's an adult dependent? It's someone who appears as a dependent on someone else's tax return. You would have by now gotten no stimulus checks since the start of the pandemic. That's why you're getting $3,200 to get caught up. Now, I have seen, and you may have heard, the series of reports talking about the moving parts of possible changes for the stimulus checks. There are reports out even today that says maybe the amount of the check for the children will be lower. Maybe the amount of the check for the adults may be higher. Maybe the amount of the check may have a lower eligibility, meaning instead of $78,000 approximate eligibility, it may only be $49,000 income earners or less get the stimulus check. There's a lot of talk out there, but so far I'm reporting to you what Joe Biden's proposal is. Ultimately, you need to push for the following. You need to push for what was promised in fall 2020, which is a $2,000 new stimulus check this year, in addition to a Cash Act Fix-It stimulus check from last year of $1,400. The $2,000 plus $1,400 has been revised since the promises of December 2020 to only give you $1,400. Go on social media and use the hashtag campaign MSC to ensure that it's $2,000 plus $1,400, not $1,400. Next, FPUC. FPUC, what is it? It's unemployment boost that goes on top of your weekly unemployment of UI and PUA. In the first stimulus round, it was $600 a week from March to July. And then it expired because Congress didn't do anything. On the eve of expiration, VP Harris said it's unconscionable to allow it to expire. And that needs to be extended and continued at $600 a week right away. In fall 2020, Joe Biden, during his transition, wrote that the stimulus amount would be $600 a week and retroactive. It was much like how Ossoff and Warnock, those 2 senators from Georgia, promised you a brand new $2,000 stimulus check in 2021 in the new stimulus package and now aren't delivering there as well. FPUC and MSC have been the 2 broken promises of the fall to now of these elected officials. So what is the broken promise? The broken promise is currently $400 a week, a number which Nancy Pelosi summarily rejected in 2020 every time offered to her. It was offered to her by Steve Mnuchin, the Treasury Secretary for Donald Trump, from the entire duration of June all the way to December. And every time it was offered, she rejected the amount of $400. Now, she's accepting $400 from Joe Biden. Doesn't make particularly a lot of sense. Nor does it make sense to simply let people skate away and not get their back pay on FPUC from July to December. Not even a single week of it doesn't make sense and is, again, a broken promise. UI and PUA would be extended on the third stimulus as well to September 2021, along with FPUC. Rent aid and utilities is really quite exceptional under the stimulus package. The reason why it's exceptional is because it expands the eligibility and changes the way you get it. First, it expands the eligibility by allowing low-income, middle-class, and homeless people to all get rent, not just low-income. Second, it changes the application process. You would apply with the federal government this time, which is the best way to do it, and the federal government would pay the landlord. Moreover, if the landlord doesn't accept the money, which is commonplace, then the federal government would give you the money in cash, and you could then pay the landlord, solving the problem. It would also involve the third stimulus package, free internet, free childcare. Then we turn to the business issues. Business grants and business loans, of which we know nothing about. The business grant for existing businesses and the business loan to start a new business, and we know nothing about it. Ultimately, what I'm going off of is a 30-page summary of a 6,000-page approximate bill. This 30-page summary was obtained by this channel very discreetly. Very few, if anyone, has this summary. And the summary is what gives me the delineation of 22 items that are in the third stimulus package. What's in and what's not in. If you've been listening so far, you've certainly not heard something. That thing you've not heard is SSI and SSDI, Social Security, Railroad benefits, and Veterans benefits. That $200 a month on top of your existing benefits with the 20% increase and the new benchmark different than COLA. The reason you haven't heard it is it's not in the summary. Why? Unclear. During the campaign and during the transition papers, Joe Biden wrote very extensively about this item being done now. Let's make something clear. The benchmark and the lifetime increase up to 20%, they're not particularly stimulus-type items. But the $200 a month is. In fact, he said it is. And in fact, he said he wants to do it to December because of the pandemic. So you would want this done now, Uncle Joe. You wouldn't want to wait on this until after the pandemic's over. This is a stimulus relief, and this is a stimulus bill. So you need to hashtag SS200 to refer to the $200 a month that was promised to you to be in this package. Number 15 and 16 are really incredible great items. Paid sick leave and paid student aid supplement. The paid sick leave works as follows. First, you have to be employed. Second, you have to stay at home. And third, you have to be staying at home because of a series of very clear issues. Those 4 issues are: your child has COVID, if your child is healthy, you are healthy, but the child's school is closed because of COVID. You have to stay home to take care of the kid. You get paid sick leave. Second, a family member is sick. You have to stay home and take care of that family member because they have COVID. Third, you have to stay at home because you have to self-quarantine. And fourth, you have to stay at home because you have COVID. All those circumstances pay up to an incredible $1,400 a week. How much could you get? It's based upon a $73,000 annual salary, the $1,400 a week. So if you make more, you would still only get $1,400, and if you make less, you would get a little bit less. Next, student aid supplement, $1,700 of financial aid for every college student. It's really incredible. Know nothing else about it except those words. Then we have hazard pay public sector and hazard pay private sector. Again, we know nothing about those words either, except that the hazard pay public sector is paid by the public sector, the government, state, and local city, with federal funds given to them, about $300 billion. Finally, we turn to these tax credits. These tax credits have really been a landmine of false news reports. What happened? Let me explain basically. I was able to obtain a copy of the summary. No one else was. And without the summary, broadcast news reports were left to guess about what's in the third stimulus package bill. Sometimes hearing channels like myself or hearing secondhand what they thought is in the bill. And so when I started to report things like the change to child tax credit, the change to the earned income tax credit, the change to the child tax credit, changes to existing tax codes, people started to do the following false reports. One, that it was a new tax code. It's not a new tax code. It's already there. It's only a change to it. Second, then this is the most obvious and the most coherent example of taking a false narrative and running with it, was that Joe Biden's number 19 child tax credit change says that the president would increase the child tax credit to $3,000 per child if the child's under 17, if the child's 17 years of age or younger, or $3,600 for a child who's 6 years of age or younger. He's changing the amount and he's increased the eligibility to age 17 from age 16. Remember, I just said that's a child tax credit, meaning you file a tax return, you get child tax credit. Well, one major U.S. newspaper took that report and then changed the language to say Joe Biden wants to give parents $3,000 every month for 12 months, adding up to $3,600. No, he didn't say that. He said a child tax credit of $3,600 you put on your tax return, which could trigger a tax refund of $3,600 a few weeks thereafter from the IRS, but not a monthly payment of $300. That's not at all what Joe Biden says, and it actually is worse than a child tax credit. It means you wouldn't get the $3,600 in the month of April after you file your tax return in March. You would get a little bit over time, over the next year. That's actually worse than what Joe Biden actually proposes. And it's not what he proposed as well. So there you are. On a new morning, everything is happening, and it's all turning out very good. And with that, let me turn to some incredible questions and comments from yesterday's recording. Charlotte Komsky, they don't want to know how to tell the truth, and it's all about them, and they want us all to fail. Barbara Epstein wrote, they say what they want to get themselves elected, and then we the people get nothing. This is such a pity and a crime to build the American people up and not give us anything. Sean Weinberg, prayers for all the people out there hurting right now. Guillermo Galopin, they're all having dementia now and they've been elected to their seats. Tina Rainville, they're too worried about impeaching Trump instead of worrying about taking care of the country and the United people. Sharifa Shakir, I'm saddened about this. Some people are going hungry. Everything is not for everyone. State civilians never went out. I hope Biden was different. Oh, well, not at all. I want to cry for the people. Viewers are reacting to the yesterday's Mornings LA recording. Remember, we did not see this progress from Nancy Pelosi until later in the day. Earlier, they were reacting to a morning's report, which at the time, Joe Biden was still saying, wait a couple weeks. Francisco Lerma, one-term presidents are going to be trending if he fooled us, better believe. Douglas Grant, the money's there, they're not going to give it to us. And after a little while they're going to say, well, they're going to give the money to other countries. Stephanie Dietrich, too bad we can't go back and change our mind like they have. Everyone in Congress should be highly, highly ashamed of themselves. I wouldn't be able to show my face on TV. Rachel Kemple, if I ever learned anything, it's never to trust a politician. Roland Russell, but yet he's inviting thousands of people to our borders, but they can't help us. Gloria Lopez, he just wanted to get in office. Liars. All they want to do is to get the American vote. Kevin Rupp, Biden should have done things to help the people in his executive orders instead of doing executive orders that hurt our country. Bonnie Landers, a pack of liars that want socialism in the U.S. Pam and Country, thank you, LA, for letting us know how disappointing our country truly is. Ronald Trout, one last thought. Democrats promise everything to win the election, then quiet. Well, that may no longer be the case, but let's see what happens, as now promised by Nancy Pelosi and the House Democrats. Well, there you go. If you have questions or comments to today's video, drop them in the comments below and I might feature them in tomorrow's recording. Meantime, subscribe. Subscribe so you don't miss a video at all on this channel. We're now 375,000 subscribers and we're trying to shoot for 100 million views in 9 months. We're at 92 million after turning 9 months old 2 days ago. So keep on watching. Also hit that alert button, and if you've not become a member, consider becoming a member. Join and become a Purple Hawk, Purple Power, or Calcino VIP. I'll see you next at 12 noon with Home LLA. Stay informed, stay focused, keep smiling, and stay in LA for more.